Welcome back, true believers and all you spectacular Spidey fans, to another very exciting Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales reaction video, because we actually do have some new bits of footage to look at today relating to the game. Now, Game Informer, again, has been absolutely destroying it with their coverage, from gameplay of the swinging, to a first look at the boss fight with Rhino, to just some small developer insights. If you go on their website, they have a bunch of breakdowns about Miles Morales' character, also some statements here and there from the creative director of the game, Brian Horton. So we're getting lots of amazing coverage, going over everything you can think about for the game. And today we have another bit of news about, I'm assuming, a clip which follows possibly the boss fight with Rhino, because it does have Peter not looking too good. Not looking too good at all in the thumbnail, or at least the picture that Andrew Reiner has put up on his Twitter page. If you guys haven't seen on his Twitter, Andrew Reiner has updated his profile banner showcasing a small clip of Miles and Peter together, and Peter is looking pretty busted up. Obviously, that's kind of scaring a lot of us Peter fans, possibly hinting at the fact that he might potentially die, since Miles in the comics originally was only around after Peter's death. But the best thing about the Insomniac universe is that Bill Roseman and Brian Intar were talking originally when Spider-Man PS4 was coming out, saying that what if we were just to put them both together in the same universe without having one die to put the other one in there, and they said we can do that because it's a new take on these characters. So, and based on the description that we have from the Game Informer article, Peter is still alive since he's going to, where else? Symkaria, if you guys can even see that shirt. He's going to Symkaria with Mary Jane. Possible mini spoiler, but that is what we've been going over in the one-on-one videos, and that's what the Game Informer coverage has said about Peter Parker's whereabouts in Miles' game. So possibly he might be busted up in this clip, and also seeing where he can go next into the universe, possibly leading into the official sequel, but mainly based on the description, it looks like it's going to focus more on Miles. So they did post this video on the official Game Informer YouTube channel, where the description reads, "Even professionals need help sometimes. Join us as we witness the birth of a hero as Brian Horton, creative director at Insomniac Games, walks us through the moment Miles Morales steps into the spotlight and becomes his own version of Spider-Man." And of course, if you want more coverage from them, they'll obviously be talking about it on their own website, the GameInformer.com/Miles website. They've been doing a great job. The first week was absolutely insane with all the news. This upcoming week, Andrew Reiner also posted on Twitter that they were originally today supposed to have an interview with Brian Horton directly about the game, but instead they're showing this. And that interview with Brian will be posted tomorrow. And then also on the 23rd of October, they also said they're going to have our first look at J. Jonah Jameson within the universe of Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. We saw him as a profile picture, obviously, in Spider-Man PS4, but based on Andrew's description, and I won't spoil it for you guys in case you don't want to know about that, it sounds like he might actually be like a physical character we interact with, or at least see in person as a character model in Miles Morales' story on October 23rd. So I'm very excited to see more of that. But this, I have no clue what's going on. The thumbnail has me terrified because I hope our boy Peter's okay. But without further ado, let's get into it. 3, 2, 1, go. This theme music already.
And Miles is a
man,
year into being a Spider-Man, right? Or not even a hero yet, right? Like,
hype
he's
with
just kind of
Andrew.
learning the ropes. We see a big beat at the beginning of this game where he develops a new power. Can you kind of talk about that moment a little bit?
Yeah, we wanted to make
The
sure
Venom Blast.
none of the Miles' iconic powers manifested off screen. That's something we wanted to see.
Oh, that's great.
We knew he was going to be getting used
that's
to
perfect.
being a web slinger. You know, he wasn't going to have the same prowess as Peter Parker, but we knew he was going to at least be at a place where he could swing and he could do the combat and basically a lot of the same functions that Peter has. So what we wanted to do was create these emotional moments, these moments that sort of forces Miles to change. Because we really see this as a coming of age story, and he's going to grow as a character. And this is one of those seminal moments where Peter is on his back foot. He's having a hard time, and he's down.
Of his narrative.
And
Rhino
snap. Has got him on the ropes. And Miles just has to summon something from within to protect his mentor.
Oh,
and
no,
that's when the bioelectricity surges
seeing it
through
damage
his
like
body,
that hurts my
and then we have
soul.
this really iconic
Peter?
That Miles lands on Rhino, and that changes his trajectory of becoming his own Spider-Man.
Wow. No, he knocked him out cold. Oh, no! Dude!
To exchange for new one.
Wow. Oh my god, Rhino looks amazing.
This one will do.
Ooh! Oh, impalement. Oh, no! First Venom Blast.
Back the hell?
Oh!
Peter trusts Miles.
Yo!
And what Miles has to learn is, I have the suit, but what does it really mean to be a hero? And that's what our journey's about. He has skills, he has the powers, but he has to figure out what his version of that mantle really means to him.
Woo! Dude, I can't. This is insane. Are you kidding me? So we're getting not only a more fully inherent origin story of Miles becoming Spider-Man, with learning from Peter as he goes on in the beginning, but then he'll grow on as himself, but also seeing the abilities manifest on screen, flat out, him confirming that, is probably one of, if not the most important aspects that is going to be featured into Miles' character, because most people mainly know, the mainstream pretty much knows Miles from Into the Spider-Verse, and they still don't necessarily know the entire scope of what makes Miles so special in and out of the suit. So one of the greatest aspects about that is seeing how Miles developing the Venom Blast is going to make him, as well as his invisibility, going to make him more powerful than Peter Parker as Spider-Man. But still, Peter is more experienced than Miles, but Miles has these extra abilities that he can kind of leverage compared to Peter, who doesn't have the invisibility or the Venom Blast or anything like that. But how Miles is going to utilize that, growing into his own hero, while Peter is off in Symkaria, you know, helping out Mary Jane, possibly setting up some sequel plot points. I am very excited to learn more about that. I think it's going to be very, very cool. I love what they did at the beginning with showing, you know, obviously Miles is scared of Rhino in Spider-Man PS4, but then obviously sucker punching him right in the face with the Venom Blast is like, that's core character development right there. That is amazing progression to see Miles become his own in that way. Now, one small nitpick that I have is that Peter fought both Rhino and Scorpion in the Sinister Six, you know, the dynamic duo of evil villains in Spider-Man PS4 when they were teaming up with each other. Same thing with Electro and Vulture, and also Rhino and Scorpion. And that was like the cool thing about Spider-Man PS4. You had the dual boss fights, take on two foes at once in those specific moments. So how is Rhino able to get the drop on Peter? I mean, is he kind of slacking or something? Like, I need... Maybe, like, Peter was trying to help Miles get out of the way to not be hit by Rhino or something, but Peter should be skilled enough at this point. 9 years into his career. It was 8 years in Spider-Man PS4. It's been a year later since we now have, you know, Miles Morales' game. And you would think that Peter, after fighting Rhino in this newer suit and all that from Spider-Man PS4, since, you know, Otto gave them upgrades as the Sinister Six, all the villains, that he should be able to fight him by himself. So I don't know what happened there off screen, that Rhino was just able to decimate Peter like that, knock him out cold. It made sense in the first game, since he never fought all of them at the same time before like that. They've teamed up in the past, but not Martin Lee, Rhino, Scorpion, Vulture, and Electro all at once, and also Dr. Octopus taking him out on the raft. That was the big plot point twist, is that the Sinister Six have begun. They've formed. This is their first time as the major group. But he's fought Rhino and Vulture and Electro separately, you know, hundreds of times. So I don't know why. That's a really, really small nitpick there. I need a more analysis as to why, the story reason as to why he got knocked out so easily. At least what it seemed in that clip. But very cool. Brian knows exactly what he's talking about. He sounds like he's super keen on trying to individualize Miles on his own free will without needing to be held by Peter's hand, without needing to be guided by Peter. He's learned from Peter, and that's kind of helped him hone his skills with these powers, but that doesn't necessarily make him his own Spider-Man yet, if you understand what I mean. He's still learning to become a hero in his own right, and I think once we see the story in full with the Tinkerer and how Miles is going to handle that situation with dealing with the underground and Roxxon and all that without Peter's help, that's going to be very intriguing to witness the narrative progression of these characters unfold, and I cannot wait to see what the story is going to be like for Miles, considering how his inclusion in Spider-Man PS4, it didn't feel forced, and it wasn't too heavily centered on Miles, since that was a Peter Parker story. It still worked out incredibly well, but now seeing that this is a full-on Miles story, that's going to be one of the biggest drawing points of the character, seeing how Miles, as his own person, can become Spider-Man, just as how we saw Peter become Spider-Man, you know, so many forms of media, but, you know, how the skills that Peter's learned in his 8 years of experience and how he's become an even better Spider-Man because of that in the first game, but he's still struggling with his daily life as Peter and Spider-Man. So seeing how Miles and Spider-Man is going to differ with that as well, how that narrative intrigue is going to affect the story, is going to be extremely cool to see in action. So with all that said, everybody, that is the small trailer we have for Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. Looks amazing. Not a lot of coverage today, but there will be an interview tomorrow and the J. Jonah Jameson clip on October 23rd. There was also a small Daily Bugle report today by Insomniac's Twitter page. They might release more, so that's why I'm saving to talk about it in case they unveil more news articles, so we can do it in a one-on-one video. But with all that said, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. And until next time, true believers, stay spectacular, Spidey fans. Peace out.